Welcome back to another edition of the Walker Valley Football Coaches Show. I'm Andy Morris along with Jacob Mason and your Walker Valley head football coach, Drew Akins. First of all, Coach Akins, got a big week this week at Bradley. Glad you could join us again. Another rivalry game. Seems like boom, 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 3 in a row right here.
Yeah, I told people all weekend, man, it was an emotional week last week. We spent a lot of emotion, especially on Friday night. With the way the game went, and now to have to pick those emotions back up and do it again this week is something that we've talked about as coaches, something that we talked about on Sunday in our coaches staff meeting, how we're going to handle this week, how we're going to make sure we get our kids back and ready to go and have the same emotion and play with the same intensity that they played with through last Friday night. And obviously this is a big game. Another county game, a game that we have not won under my tenure, so something that has never been done for us. And I know it's only been done once in school history. So, and obviously they're in a different season that they have been used to, but that does not matter. In my opinion, we'll talk more about this, but that does not matter. They're going to give us their absolute best game that they've played so far, and we're going to have to play our best game if we expect to compete.
Yeah, so real quick recap. Last week, the rivalry game over at Benny Monroe Stadium against the Blue Raiders didn't go our way. Very exciting first half. Kind of started slow, and we were wondering if it was going to be exciting. Your boys kind of got things together, though, going into halftime.
Yeah, listen, it was nerve-wracking there for a little bit. We talked about in the pregame, and this is why you don't speak in negatives. So a little coaches – behind the scenes here. As coaches, we try to typically speak in positives. We don't say things like, hey, don't fumble the ball, or hey, don't throw the ball to the other team, or hey, don't miss tackles. Like that puts that almost in their mind of don't do something. So we always try to talk in positives. Hey, let's start fast. Hey, hold on the football. Hey, make sure you're protecting the football. Make sure we're protecting the quarterback. Those kind of things is more how we try to speak. And I think it kind of got in our vocabulary last week. Hey, don't try to feel your way through it. Make sure we start out fast. But that don't feel your way through it. It felt like we felt our way through the first really 4 or 5 drives of the game, and then we hit the slant to Roman, and that kind of sparked us a little bit. And then we had a great second quarter, and honestly a great third quarter. I think a big piece of the game was getting down that far. We had to spend a ton of energy to get back. So we used so much energy up to get back to 23-22 that once we got there, we couldn't sustain that energy. I think that was a big turning point in the game. I think there was 2 drives, as we talk about the game. I think there's 2 things in the third quarter that we're going to end up talking about that kind of changed the momentum. We had a lot of momentum there at the end of the third quarter. But I think there's 2 things that kind of changed the momentum. And then obviously the fourth quarter really didn't go our way. But we made some decisions that took it from what was probably going to be a 7 to 14 point loss that took it to the 28-point loss. And listen, like we said Friday night, we lost by 28 points. We're in a scoreboard business, and we lost by 28 points. But I think when you look at the end of the game, we made some decisions as a coaching staff to try to stay in the game, and ended up costing us a bad field position, put our defense in bad spots, and made the score look a little bit worse than it probably should have been at the end.
Yeah, Coach, something that we talked about on Friday was, in years past, a team like our Walker Valley team would lay down and not give that second effort. Just talk about the punch back in the second quarter, because it's really easy to get emotional and be down 22-0 and say, we've lost this one.
Yeah.
But it seems like they really were able to fight back and make it, even into the fourth quarter, a very interesting game.
Yeah, listen, I was super proud of our guys, and I think that's part of why we've been able to come back this week and have some energy and have some excitement. Our guys moved forward really well yesterday. We had our team meeting. We put that one to bed, and our guys did a great job going out to practice, making sure that they were focused on this week. You could feel it. They handled it really well. So A lot of teams, 2 years ago at our place, they returned the opening kickoff, and we were never able to punch back. We're never able to get back in that game. Even when it was 14-0 at halftime, it didn't feel like that. It felt like they had all control of the game throughout. Last year, we threw the opening, second play of the game, we throw a touchdown, and felt like at that point we had control of the game for a lot of the first half, and really into the fourth quarter we had control of the game. So, a lot of teams struggle when they get down early, especially to fight back. And I was really proud of our guys for doing that. I think a big part of the start, we started out in terrible field position from the opening kickoff. And it stayed that way through about midway in the second quarter.
Yeah.
So the field position battle really, really cost us early. We put our defense in bad situation after bad situation. We've got to be better on special teams. We've got to coach better on special teams. That's been a real focus for us this weekend in coaches meeting. We changed some personnel to make sure that we have our best kids in the right positions on kickoff, on punt, making sure we're doing the right stuff. But ultimately, we got to coach those things better, and we put ourselves in some really bad spots early in the game. But then, we had the drive that actually I'm going to go through the drive that kind of got us back in the momentum after break. But that drive kind of gave us some life, and then AB got the scoop and score for a touchdown. Deasy immediately gets the interception, and it felt like, okay, we settled back in, and I even told our guys, hey, you're here now. Like, we're here, we're in it. You felt your way through, which is something we wish we wouldn't have done. But now we're back in it, and, at halftime we're down by 2. And third quarter was really, really even, and we get the field goal that puts us up. I think since we're there, that not getting a touchdown there, I think, was a big momentum swing in their favor. I think if we score there, we were going to go for 2. That would have put us up 28-22 if we get it. So now, even if they go down and score that touchdown on the post, you're only down by 1. I think only getting a field goal there and only going up by 1, and then they go score on 3rd and 10. Those 2 drives, us not getting the touchdown and then them getting the touchdown, really took the wind out of our sails, and we just couldn't summon that energy back that we had to get back in it. And then the block punt put us in bad field position. You go down 14, and then you got to make a decision as a coaching staff. Are we going to try to do things to stay in the ball game and possibly win it? If you go for it on 4th down and you get it and you go score, you're down by 7, you onside. There's a lot of things that have to happen in your way, and you got to make that decision. Or, do we concede? And we made the decision not to concede. In the 4th down play, they blew it up front. Which gave them good field position again, and they score, and all the wind's gone at that point. So now you're just holding on, trying to not get run ruled at that point. So we made some decisions as coaches that probably made it look a little bit worse. But I think those 2 drives were the 2 drives that kind of dictated the ball game. Not getting a touchdown and then them going to score and putting us down 7. And I know it's just 7 points. It's only 1 score. But, man, it took all the wind out of our sails, and we just couldn't. We spent so much energy getting back into it, that we just couldn't summon that energy back. So that happens. But I think us fighting back, kind of where this question started, us fighting back kind of gives us the energy to say, hey, we were right there. We were right there in that ball game, and we just didn't finish the game. So if we finished the game a little better, which we did against Notre Dame, we finished the ball game really strong. Against Polk County, we finished the ball game really strong. We just didn't on Friday. So we've got to make sure that we do things to get better.
Coach, as you said, things kind of got away at the end, but plenty to build on. Before we get specifically into Bradley this week, you mentioned a couple of the individual performances. One thing I want to point out, because I saw him at school, and I said, Michael Woods, you're going to get an interception this week.
Yeah.
You talked about Descavich's interception. You talked about one thing we didn't talk about was the pretty cool trick play.
Yeah.
If you could touch on that before we go to break.
Yeah, that's going to be a part of that drive that kind of got us back in the momentum. It's pretty cool play design. It's weird. We put it in on Monday, and then Twitter listens to us, right? Like, it has to, because Twitter started throwing us that exact trick play over and over. I saw Idaho do it. I saw NFL teams do it. I saw teams, 2 years ago do it on Twitter. And
So you took it as a sign. We need to do
videos.
this.
And so I'll kind of talk through, that decision and what we were thinking going into the game and what made us call it in that moment. But Dosen, I thought, played really well. He didn't have a ton of time. We've got to be better up front. We've got to protect him better. We kind of fell short on that. Guys that we know, and I've told them we're going to lean on our offensive line. We're going to lean on our fronts, and really played poorly up front. And we've got to make sure that we do better preparing our guys, for those moments, but also, executing in that moment as players. But I thought Dosen played really well. Really saved us a couple times. Good throw to Roman. Got PIs. These are things that don't show up in the stat sheet. But a couple of his throws are good throws that get pass interference calls. Where if he overthrows it or throws it out of bounds, it gets much more difficult for the referee to call those things. He was able to put it in a spot where Roman, against smaller defensive backs, was able to get 2 or 3 pass interference calls that really gave us 45 yards worth of yardage. So those kind of things, I thought we did a good job not getting penalties. We only had 6 for the night. That kind of kept us in the ball game. We didn't turn the ball over. That's something that I know we've talked about several times. Hey, we got to hold on to the ball better. We got to protect the football better. We did a good job of that. Those things is what kept us in the ball game for as long as we were in it. And then, we just got to find a way to finish the game. But Dosen played well. AB played well. Troy Juszkiewicz, our D-line, played well. I thought Mason Alexander had a tough, hard-fought game.
He did.
Doing things that aren't a lot of fun at that position. So we had a lot of guys stand out. Malachi Nunez had 9 tackles for the night, 9 solo tackles. Seeing those things. I've told our coaching staff this weekend, I'll tell y'all, I've told you before, we have all the pieces. We've got to coach them better, and we've got to make sure they're ready to make plays throughout a ball game from the start to the finish.
So, Coach, this week Mustangs come in ranked at number 8 in the Tennessee Sports Writers poll, ranked number 9 in the USA Today poll. So still, the goals are still region championship, Class 5A football. You've got one more game against another 6A opponent this week in Bradley. How do you keep your team focused on those goals while preparing to go play an emotional game?
Yeah, listen, it's one of the harder things we do here. Is understanding, hey, these county games mean a lot to us. They do. They mean a lot, and you see the impact in the community when you win them. You see the impact in the community when you lose them. So they're very important games, but ultimately, to get to the goals that we want to accomplish, our number one goal is always win the region. Well, this game doesn't have anything to do with that. Last week's game has nothing to do with that. So we've got to make sure that we take these things. And I think the biggest thing, and I saw this weekend, I'll pull it up right here since we have a second. I looked at on Twitter. Stuff's always popping up on Twitter, and I always try to save things. But one of the things that I saw are 6 habits of winners. And one of the things was focus on the process, not just the results. And that's so hard as a coach, because I love winning. I probably hate losing more than I love winning, but I really enjoy winning. So trying to, as an adult, deal with losses, as a 15, 16, 17-year-old trying to deal with losses as well, that's difficult. So you've got to make sure that you understand, and it's a Nick Saban thing. We all kind of hear it. It's Kirby Smart now. Focus on the process of what it takes to win. We have goals that we set. But the goals aren't things that we talk about very often. The process of getting to those goals is what we talk about. And if we just use these games as part of our process to get to where we want to go, then it becomes really easy to turn the page. But again, I say all that while also saying these games are important. We've got to make sure that we do everything we can to win the game. This is going to be an incredibly hard-fought game this week. Bradley has a ton of pride. Coach Floyd, I have a ton of respect for. Coaching against him the last 5 years, some of the stuff that I thought we had him on, and they were able to fight through. We've had him beat a couple times, and they come back. We're up 9 with 8 minutes left. We're
2
up
years
20,
ago.
yeah, and we're up 21 in 2020 out of the jump, 21-0. them fighting back shows a lot of the character of the team that they have. So it's going to be a hard-fought game. They're going to play their best game. We have to play our best game if we want to compete in this game.
Yeah, so once again, 7 o'clock kickoff from Bear Stadium. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we're going gold Friday night for pediatric cancer awareness as well.
Yeah. I didn't have the intestinal fortitude to ask Coach Floyd if we could wear our gold home uniforms. That's just not probably worth it. But it's something that obviously it means a lot to me. It's something that we've hosted here for the last 2 years, and I can't thank Coach Floyd and Bradley Central enough for when I brought it to him. I said, hey, Coach, we want to do this at our game. They want it to be a community game. And this is an opportunity for us to recognize these families in our community. And Coach Floyd immediately says, yeah, we'll do whatever we need to do. We would love to host it. So for him to dive in, and then, Mr. Spangler diving in too with it, and Turner Jackson and all the people that have been involved. It's a big night, and it means a lot to me personally. And obviously it means a ton to our community. So really excited to celebrate those families again, see those families again, and make sure that we continue to remember the kids in our community and the families in our community that have suffered, through pediatric cancer the way they have.
Absolutely. So with that, as we go into our first commercial break, those of you that are joining us on the video segment on YouTube and Facebook and all the good stuff, Coach Akins will be back to break down film with you all. But with that, we are sponsored by Wholesale Supply Group. They're open to the public, and we'll be back here in a minute. Welcome back to the Walker Valley Football Coaches Show, sponsored by Wholesale Supply Group. They're open to the public. And I'm Andy Morris, along with Jacob Mason, Walker Valley head football coach Drew Akins. And I've got to say, I know it's Jacob's favorite part of the show, probably my favorite part of the show, the film breakdown with Coach Akins.
Yeah, listen, that's probably my favorite part of the show. I like talking a lot, but man, I'm a film junkie, so us being able to do this every week.
And we get to sit here and just watch you.
Listen, big shout out to Mr. Evers for we kind of brought this up to him. I guess last year. I was like, hey, it'd be really cool to be able to show some plays, and man, immediately kind of jumped in on it. So really cool segment. I love doing it. So let's dive in. I want to start with that drive that we've kind of talked about a couple times now, the drive that kind of got us back in the game. So at this point, guys, we've done nothing. Legitimately done nothing. So we're gonna start this drive, attacking with Roman. Roman's kind of been this year has been an absolute dude for us, and you can kind of see right now the setup. Where's the space? So we started looking at where's the space, how we playing. They were being very, very aggressive with these safeties. So these safeties were being very aggressive down in the run game. So as you saw us, running our power and counter schemes, you saw these guys coming down and being unblocked hats. Well, that becomes an issue, obviously, that we've got to handle, and you got to handle it through the pass. And if you don't hurt them in the pass game, then they're going to just continue to come down into the box. So this is a new concept for us that we run across our quarterback's face with the running back and run the bubble. Our Y-back's actually going to come out here, and he's looking to block the first thing. So it's almost like a running back bubble call, but then Roman is also running the slant behind it, where if he dives down hard and the corner jumps down, you kind of see that window that we're trying to attack. So normally with the running back bubble, you're going to block here. You're going to let, our Y-back block there, and you're trying to get your running back, through that. We've kind of added another level to that where, we're going to run the running back bubble, but we're also, instead of having to just block this guy one-on-one, we're going to throw the slant behind and see if we can hit it. Roman does a great job with his release here. You'll see inside release on the corner, good hard stick, which gets him open, and a contested pass. But you can see here too, later on in the game, we actually swing it out here to the bubble. But you see 3 come down, right? So 3's coming down. That's where Dawson's eyes are. Look at the timing by Dawson. Dawson's already started his motion right as 3 triggers. So you see 3 trigger down. and we're able to throw this ball right behind his head.
Just
Roman,
that little bit of hesitation, he knows where he's going with the football.
yeah, exactly. And Roman does a great job of making a play on the ball. That's the first real sign of momentum that we had throughout the first half. So straight out of there, I got like 10 different views of that one. This is a cool view of it too. You see Roman's release here. This gets a little bit even more in depth where you really get to see, Dawson's eyes are here on that safety. I'm going to switch over to laser pointer so we don't have. So Dawson's here on this safety. And when he triggers down, we automatically know we're throwing slant. So you can see the windows we're throwing into. Really cool play design. Coach Pope did a great job with that design with our pass game. We've really kind of dove into this run. This run is called Duo. Duo is something, it's a new run scheme. We're a gap scheme team. So Duo is a gap scheme run. So it really fits who we are. But I love about this is just, this was one of the times in the game where I felt like we really got to push. So when you look at it from this angle again, the drone shot is just special. It's such a good shot. So when we're running Duo, I want to go back to the draw, the telestrator. So all we're doing is down blocking to the left. Okay. So down block, down block, down block. Tate's going to down block. But our numbers actually tell us that we're going to go here. And all we're doing here, Malachi's going to down block. All we're doing is reading this backer. Okay. If this backer fits, then we can bounce or cut back, depending on what he reads. If this backer were to step left, then we can bounce it front side. If it were to step to our right, then we can cut back or cram it. So it's a very simple read for the running back. It's a very simple blocking scheme for our O-line. But again, what I really love about this is right here, it's a 2-yard gain. But then you see body. Tate gets in there and pushes. It turns out to be a 12-yard run, which, again, just kind of kept the momentum. So at this point, we're thinking, okay, we had this trick play that we knew we wanted to run throughout. I said throughout the entire week, hey, first time we get to right hash 30 to 40, we're going to call this play. So we kept saying, hey, first time we get to right hash. First, it had to be on the right hash just because it was more comfortable. It was quicker. When you look at the timing of it, it was quicker. But so right now we're in the middle of the field. So we literally are saying, hey, let's find a way to get to the right hash here. So we run just a basic counter play, and it really just works out through probably chance, honestly. Because we run a blast and our Y-backs actually run into each other here. But we're down, kick. And when our Y-backs run into each other, Javen's forced to kind of bounce it this way. And you'll see that as we go in. So they bump into each other and you kind of see the hole and Javen kind of squirts through. And he didn't know that we were trying to get it to the right hash. We were just calling a play to get to that way. And luckily, we were able to get over there. So second down, we're on the 32. It's the first time we've been on the right hash on our side of the field between the 30 and 40. So we're on the headset. I'm like, hey, let's call it. And I think there was some apprehension. It's really easy to say, hey, we're going to call this play. When you think you're going to go in, it's going to be 7-0. It's going to be 0-0. It's really easy to say, hey, we're going to call this trick play. When you're down 22-0, it gets a little more difficult to call this. I'll be honest. But I literally said over the headset, "Hey, man, scared money doesn't make money." So we called it. Really cool play design. You've probably seen it a lot here recently. I know I have. But all we're doing now is going to run our toss play. So a really simple scheme right here. Jeremiah does a great job. I want to watch Jeremiah throughout this. But obviously number 0 is, I've said it several times, number 0 is the best player in this area. And he's outstanding. He absolutely took the fourth quarter over the other night with his just the way he plays, his size. But Jeremiah does a great job on this play handling him. We're going to pitch it. Hudson's going to run the reverse. Spencer actually does a great job of picking up a block, Hudson, after the reverse, comes back and picks up a block. Dosen just kind of works his way back here, gets the second pitch on the double reverse. Luke's job is to clear this out. So he's literally just trying to take these guys over to the middle of the field with him, right? And Tate's acting like he's blocking for the toss. So that's kind of the setup to it. And then once Tate feels, okay, nobody's watching me, he's going to work his way down the sideline. So that's the setup. It looks like a lot when you're drawing it, but it's actually very simple. Toss, 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 right?
Good, huge block right there.
Yeah, and like I said, Spencer does a great job here picking up number 20 on the edge. But what this play does and why I felt confident to run it, it's so much, it's so much horizontal motion that it's really hard to get a vertical pass rush, right? So that's why you see when people run this play, they have a lot of time because teams are going back and forth horizontally, and it comes wide open.
Can you go back to the start of that play?
Yeah.
The linebackers right here, you watch, you talk about horizontal. They're run first, right? They're looking, and you see them move left, they move right. Tate has already released, right? So they're left, they're right, and then they're back and it's too late. So it does a good job when you're run first, especially those safeties, they come diving in because they're trying to stop the run there. It clears that whole space out.
Yeah. Honestly, it was pretty cool. It was a cool moment. It was one of the cooler calls that I've ever been able to make. Tate times this great. I want to show y'all from the drone shot how this looks. Tate does such a great job here of, I'm going to slow it down here. Toss. Look at Tate. He's still not in the route. And Tate legitimately looks like he's going to block, right? And once he feels those linebackers let him loose, you can see how open it comes. So really cool play design, really cool call. Glad we made the play and was excited to be able to get back in the game. It gave us a huge boost of energy. Speaking of huge boost of energy, I'm going to roll through these quickly. The backwards pass, AB does a great job of paying attention and scooping and scoring there. Big play by AB. He's been awesome all year long. He leads us. He leads us in the secondary tackles. His bonus points every week has been huge. He's been really fun to watch throughout this season. He's worked really hard. He had an ankle injury that he came back from last year and just worked his tail off, and that's exciting to see him have success.
He's got a few takeaways on the year too.
Yep. So got him in the end zone, gave us more momentum, come right back in to playing again. They try to hit us on a run back screen. Our D-line is so good at reading screen. They just feel it. So Troy retraces, falls underneath it, is able to get the interception as well. 2 plays later, we get 1 play later, we get a pass interference call that moves us down inside the red zone, and then we run duo again. And this is kind of that, gap scheme. Everybody block left. Tate's going to fit off the right side. We really dent the defense there. Boom, you see there's a double team. There's a double team. Tate does a great job of sealing it off. It gives Spencer a ton of room to be able to work with. He gets through, makes a cutback, and scores. And that's where we felt like, man, we have all the momentum in the world here. Straight out of that, we're able to make, right before halftime, it gets, we got to go make a play here. We got to make sure we finish this half down by 2. We've spent so much energy getting back into it. And this is a huge play. And, they love throwing deep balls, so we work deep balls over and over throughout the week. Mike does a great job of being patient, is able to fall underneath that and make the interception. That's a big play by Mike. 3 turnovers on the night. So +3 on the night. We were +14 in turnovers. +14 in penalties. So, those 2 things is what really was able to keep us in the game. And then just working on finishing. That's all there is to it. So really proud of our guys for fighting back, though. It was a fun game. I'm glad we were able to compete in it because that gave us a lot of energy coming back Monday and be able to fight. So fun game. It should be a fun week this week. Bradley, anytime you go to Bradley, it's a fun environment that I'm excited our kids to be in. We're going to have to play great, but it should be an enjoyable night and a great community game that we're playing on Friday.
Yeah, even in the losses, this prepares you for the rest of the year. That's a great Cleveland team.
Yeah.
It's one of the better ones that I've seen in quite some time. And I think you're right with big old number 0. He's a dude.
Yeah, he's as good as it gets, man. So, we've got to make sure that we cure some of the illnesses that we had. But, like you said, that's a playoff team. That prepares us when we get to region play, when we get into the playoffs, that we're able to go into those games and be prepared. We've seen it before. So really excited about that and excited about this week because we have another great competition coming up this week. And they're going to be fully prepared and fully focused on us. So we got to make sure that our guys are ready to play that kind of game again because it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, these games feel like playoff games. I know they're not, but they feel like them. The atmosphere, the Walker Valley fans last week traveling the way that I know it's in town, but still, man, they had it packed, and it's going to be the same way on Friday night.
Absolutely. It will be. Every time we go over there, it's a huge game, and it's a huge gate for both. That's why we got to keep this game on schedule, man. The gate's too big, and, the amount of money that pours into the program because of these two games is too significant. So we're going to keep playing them. We're going to keep fighting them. And hopefully we start getting on the plus side of this. But ultimately, like you said, and like we've said several times, it's about preparing for region play. It's about preparing us for playoffs. And that's our focus with these.
But you're exactly right. These games are extremely fun for us in the community. So we look forward to them every year. So with that, once again, kickoff 7 p.m. at Bear Stadium. The Mustangs are on the road. It is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Night. Wear your gold. Come out, support those families, support the Mustangs. And I tell you what, I'm excited for it. I know Jacob is. We'll be on the call. You'll be able to catch us on WCLE 99.1 pregame starting at 6 o'clock. You'll hear this interview. You'll hear our pregame breakdown. And then the Mustangs kick off at 7. With that, go Stangs.